What's up, YouTube? This is Black Sword here. So today we're going to talk about fish tank kings and tanked, and the influence of what I think about in the hobby. I'm relatively new to the hobby. I am a couple months in. I've done some research. I'm still researching, and in about a year, when I get my money together and when I think I'm fully confident, I'm going to get my fish tank. I'm going to get my marine tank. I understand the work that goes into the hobby, so I'm not just a guy who just knows a little bit, saying, oh, because I know there's still so much to learn about the hobby. I know a thing more than the average person now at this point, based on the reading and stuff I've done and the videos I've watched. And so it brings me to Tanked. Before I knew anything about fish, I thought Tank was a great show. And it wasn't until I started researching I realized, what the hell are they doing? And the reason why I say this is because some of the stuff that they do on Tanked is really questionable. And it's like, unless you know anything about marine aquariums, it's like, why are you doing that? For example, I was watching this one with the famous Cichlid tank. It was Fish Tank Kings. And so they put 200 cichlids in this tank, which is about, I think, a 300-gallon tank. And it's like, why? It doesn't make sense. It's going to overwhelm whatever little filtration system that you have. Cichlids are very aggressive fish. And it's like, and then the bio load that has to be coming out that tank is ridiculous. And it's like, and don't get me started on Tanked. I think Tanked, I used to be a huge fan of Tanked, but I still like Wade and Brett. And overall, I think Tanked fish tanks look better than Fish Tank Kings fish tanks by far. I think they can build good tanks. I'm not gonna lie about that, even with their ugly Kroll inserts. But that's besides the point. So, when I was watching Tanked, and it brings me back to Tank, because Tank is worse at this, I think. Tanked once put 3 rainbow sharks and like a couple of the sharks and ate their baby sharks and put them in like a 8-gallon fish tank. And you're like, this is ridiculous, because these things grow up. They're gonna need hundreds of feet, like 200 gallons to swim around in each. And for you to like put 3 in a 8-gallon aquarium, it's like, what? And it's like, you just see it's people who shouldn't have tanks on the show. And you see these people masquerade as fish people. And like, it's terrible. And what bothers me is that when they have the people on there, I think that bothers me the most, is the people who shouldn't have these tanks at all. You have these people who view these fish as a commodity and don't view them as a living thing. A fish is a living thing. Aquarius, hobbyists, we know that. We know that a fish is a living thing. So we understand that if you stress out the fish, it dies and you lose your investment. To these people, they just seem to throw money at things. You go, oh, well, don't really matter if the fish is stressed. Okay. And it's the people who want fish that don't belong in tanks like this together. And Tanked will famously because yellow tang seems to be their favorite fish that they always put in every fish tank. They'll put tangs in tanks that are 20 gallons. They'll put tangs in tanks that are 30 gallons. When any skilled aquarists know a tank is a 100-gallon fish, it needs to be in 100 gallons for it to be comfortable. And yet, the people from Tanked put tangs in any sort of thing, and they put multiple tangs in together. It's like, come on, man, like, really? And like, they say things that don't make any sense, like, all fish love schools. And there's not a level of stress. They don't think about the stress that they put on the fish. And then, like, it's like they don't ever talk about the cycling process. And yeah, we understand cycling isn't sexy. It's not sexy at all, but it's a necessary evil. And it's like they just take shortcuts with the tanks. And it's very, I think they've only done 2 tanks, I think, that I was like, wow, on when it came to actual After Effects. And that was the one person who actually wanted real coral pieces in the tank. And there was another one where it was plant pieces in the tank for tanks. And I was blown away with what they did with it. But it's like the rest of them, the coral inserts that they put in look cheap and tacky. I understand why they put them in, and not everybody should have coral. Coral is not necessary. Coral makes a marine tank pop. I want coral, but you know, and then but I've been on tank too much, so let me go back to Fish Tank Kings. Fish Tank Kings, the same thing with the inserts. But Fish Tank Kings, what bothers me the most is that they constantly keep live catching their fish. And that bothers me because you take a fish directly from the ocean and you bring it into a tank, it's going to be more stress than it was if it was born in the environment, aquacultured. And like you constantly keep seeing them catch fish like that. And I'm in shock. And then they talked about the quarantine episode, where I thought was the most entertaining episode because they talked about filtration. They talked about that stuff. And they talked about the need for quarantine, all these stuff that hobbyists like and hobbyists know is the case. And that was the first time I ever seen a protein skimmer on an aquarium show, was on that quarantine episode when they cleaned it out. But it's like, and they're saying we're limiting our ocean impact. You're not limiting your ocean impact, you idiot. Buy the fish and then breed them. Stop freaking going out and constantly keep catching fish. Stop doing that. You're the person who makes hobbyists bad. You're the person who gives hobbying a bad name. Aquarium keeping a bad name. It's you people. It's people like Living Color. And then they put these fish in environments that they don't need to be in. And like I don't ever see them saying, no, you shouldn't put the fish in this type of environment. All I hear them all day, they'll the only thing they won't compromise on is filtration. But everything else I compromise on. They don't care about the type that they put in the tank. They don't care. They don't care about a lot of things. And it bothers me. And it makes me think that I used to think that tanked was good because it got me into tanks. But which is good because I can imagine that. But I think overall it just works for the hobby. It's just as bad as when I was a kid and I got a fish bowl and I put my goldfish in the fish bowl and it died a couple of days later and I didn't know why. I still fed it, still did all those things, but I didn't know why. I didn't know about the lack of oxygen. I didn't know about the waste that built up in the bowl and how I really killed my goldfish. And then betas, like it's like a whole bunch of things I learned that I did wrong before. But these people are professionals. They know what they're doing. And they're doing it wrong on purpose. And that to me is wrong. They don't ever take a second to educate you on saying, hey, why not just have a tanked episode where you really just talk about how to set up a tank? Like a real everyday person who can't afford the master tank, and tell them how to set up the tank. What they're neglecting to tell us is the fact that you're going to have to pay maintenance on those tanks that they create. There's no way around it. Them fish are probably going to die. Pretty well about that. Pretty sure about that. And you constantly have to keep putting this amount of bacteria in the tank because there's no live they use a cap full of this thing called colony or something like that to cycle the bacteria for you when it does an instant cycle, which is bullshit because it's hard on the fish. So I don't know what they're doing there, but there's a lot that they don't tell you. They don't ever tell you, hey, you should go out and buy, this is Wade and Brett with the pro tip. You should go out and buy a protein skimmer because it's good. No, we're going to try to sell you colony. We're going to try to sell you a fish tank with these crappy coral inserts. And then when somebody wanted to actually set up a coral, it's too hard. Because that was the one time, that's why I like that tank episode, because the one time they ever talked about, they ever referenced the nitrogen cycle in all of Tanked. was actually used Live Rock, actually talked about a cleanup crew, talked about those things that make fish happy and make them healthy. That's the first time they talk about that crap. It's like a whole bunch of fish that don't belong in a thing, just thrown in together because it looks good. And it's like a finding. It's like what is to me, Tank is the equivalent of what Finding Nemo and Finding Nemo Tank is for the people who wrote Finding Nemo. And I think only Aquarius would understand the logic between what I just said. If you like Tanked, good. But just know that Tanked is not something that is reflective of the hobby. The hobby takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of hard work. And I respect those that have tanks. I respect those. You just don't grow a beautiful tank like that overnight. It's a lot of planning that goes into it, a lot of testing, a lot of making sure your pH and your water parameters are good. It's a lot that goes into it, not just, oh, well, call Wade and Brett and you put some magical chemical in the water and it'll cycle your tank right away. You won't wait the weeks that you need to cycle the tank. And, don't worry about any of the stuff because all that cyanobacteria, hey, we're going to put it in there and it's going to be magical. You can't get any real reef fish. The coral answers look like some shit, but it's okay. You don't have the maintenance of dealing with the coral. You can't have certain species, but hey, you get some nice fish. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, and then it just bothers me, man. Some people shouldn't own fish tanks. And that's what Tank taught me. Tank told me that you should not own a fish tank. Half of these people should not own fish tanks. Fish keeping is a hard job. It's hard work. It's fun. It's challenging. You'll run into things like Aiptasia, cyanobacteria, things like that. You need to know what that is. You're not going to learn that on Tanked. I don't think you'll ever learn that anywhere except looking on YouTube. So if you're looking at Tanked and you truly believe that is how hobbyists are, you are sorely mistaken. Hobbyists are not like that. We are not like that at all. And the crappy little, and let me just close on one thing. The little scenes that they do and that piss poor acting that they do is terrible. I'm going to have to say, at least Tanked, their personalities come off well on camera. So they can sell half of that crap about, oh, this plumbing piece doesn't work. Quote unquote, doesn't work. Or there's always some mini drama that happens with their tanks. Nothing's ever routine. It's a mini drama that always happens. Or Fish Tank Kings, which is the most annoying ones where they bitch the whole time about this is our biggest. If you listen closely, if you don't believe me, let's watch Fish Tank Kings. There's a whole bunch of episodes on YouTube, and if you look on that, you'll see something similar to what David Caruso did in CSI Miami. How he'd always make a line and always make the same stance. I guarantee you, it's like clockwork. Every single episode, they say, we can't mess up. This is a great client, or we can't mess up. This will be a detriment to the company. Or my favorite, this will ruin our reputation if we screw up. It's in every single episode, like clockwork. I guarantee it. Every single episode. Or my favorite. This is my favorite one they do. This is our biggest client. And if we ruin this, our reputation is ruined. Watch. I guarantee you they will say this. But winding down, just know that this isn't reality, what they're showing you on television when it comes to Tanked. It's a lot of hard work that goes into a fish tank. If you think that you could just put a whole bunch of species of fish together in a tank and just hope they live, you're screwing yourself because you're going to be out a lot of money and then fish die. Don't do it. Learn like I'm learning. Learn what a protein skimmer is. Learn what the nitrogen cycle is. Learn about live rock. Learn about cyanobacteria. Learn about Aiptasia. Learn about live sand. Learn about deep sand bed versus shallow sand bed. There's a lot of things for you to learn before you even get your tank. That's the fun about fish keeping. Is there's so much to learn before you even get anything, and then from what you learn, you already formulate what you want your tank to look like. That's what the stage I'm on, formulating what I want it to look like. I thought I could have a Finding Nemo tank. It's impossible. Can't do it. Can't do it. It's impossible. Well, it's possible, but your fish not gonna last that long. But yeah. So, guys, comment, subscribe. Sorry it went on a little long, but I'm passionate about this topic. Comment. Let me know what you guys think about tanked or fish tank kings. All right. Have a nice day, guys. Peace.